Hello and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, we love seeing you live every Thursday night, Facebook and YouTube land. The chats are always fun. We can't get to every chat, but your chat may show up in the show. So watch that. And as always, if you can't catch us live, catch us in the replay or in your favorite podcasting app. You know me, John Ruark, past master of the Patriot Lodge, number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. with new technology, right? Welcome, Robert. Who are you, Robert Johnson?
I'm Robert Johnson, past master of Waukegan 78, current sitting secretary there, as well as a past master of Space Novum 1183, the premier education lodge in the state of Illinois, where I am also the sitting secretary, host of the Whence Came You podcast, and happy to be here talking about something that is very appropriate for this group of gentlemen, and I know so many of listeners. So it should be a great conversation.
Looking forward to it. Next up, Jason Richards. Hello and good evening.
Hello, good evening. Jason Richards, past master of Vacation Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, and member of Lafayette Lodge number 79 in Zanesville, Ohio. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And last but not least, Joe Martinez, still Worshipful Master.
Still, not in perpetuity, but still. Hello, Joe Martinez.
Years.
Mute that mic because I can't anymore. Hello, Joe Martinez, past and current master of Manassas Lodge, number 182 in Manassas, Virginia. Member of Things and Stuff, and yep, I barely just made it. I thought I was going to be a little bit late, so thank you for waiting for me.
Just don't call you late for dinner.
Poof.
Or late for lodge.
Or late for green beans.
Or late for green beans. Nice. Mm-hmm. All right. So let's see. The first thing we do is switch over to give a shout out to the patrons who support the show. Head over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable if you want to support the show. This has given Jason lots of new toys to play with, including that scream track you heard earlier. So if you want to hear more odd placed sounds, blame Jason and contribute to the show. Right. You can have your very own wow button. All right. Moving on.
I am my very own wow button.
Not going to go there. We also now segue into everyone's favorite segment of the show, including Joe's, which is also called the what, Joe?
Tarot card of the week.
That's right. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Terrible.
All right. So I came prepared with a new deck that I've got here. Let's see what I'm working with. I've got a brand new Edgar Allan Poe tarot.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's probably nice.
Sick.
So let's, I haven't shuffled these, so I'm going to just shuffle the major arcana first. Arcana.
I recently
tomato.
got a really nice set of gold foil major arcana of the William Worth deck gold foil. They are amazing. So one of these days, one of these Thursdays, I'll have to show you guys. It's pretty slick.
All right. Sight unseen. We've got the star.
Ooh, okay.
Look at that. Let's see. Focus. There we go.
Love
the
that
star. So a lot of these do have obviously allusions to popular Poe stories and poems, but this one could be Lenore. But the star. What does the star represent, gentlemen? This is like hope and
Inspiration, yeah.
inspiration.
One of the things I love that's not on this particular card, but is often on the card themselves is, it's you see a woman or a figure of some type, 1 foot in the water, 1 foot out, and so it was kind of a duality card in some respects. I remember I had given a reading for a client at one point and I didn't know, but we drew that card, and I had mentioned that they had a relative in the hospital who was not doing well. So they understood the card to be it was faith and renewal and spirituality while acknowledging 1 foot in this world, 1 foot not. And I thought that was really, it was pretty cool for them to see that and to pull that out of it. But for tonight, I think that's interesting. I wonder if you look at it in a balanced sort of way, it would apply for this evening's show.
Right. Hope and control. I mean, it's an Aquarian card. It's often tied to Aquarius. So
a lot of feminine energy too, though.
Oh yeah,
indeed. Yep. Interesting. All right. Well, let's take that and segue into tonight's topic, which is on the Masonic /life balance. Right. Ever since our very first year as the Masonic Roundtable, we've had people write the show, message the show, telling us, thank you guys for what you do, because I can't make it to lodge all the time. Many of them are truck drivers that drive overnight, right? They have the night shift, and this is how they can get their Masonry while on the road, while being away from lodge. And so, adding to that, we also have many brothers who, for a variety of reasons, can't be as active as they'd like to be. Their zeal for the institution is greater than their ability to perform, right? The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak? No. We'll talk about tonight.
And bruised.
They have blue pills for that, John.
Okay, good. I'll look that up. And then, so tonight we'll talk about how to find where your cable toe starts and ends, how we can adjust our Masonic life balance, and what to do. What can we contribute while we're away? So to open it up, have you guys heard similar things from brothers in the past about how they can contribute when life gets in the way?
Oh yeah, I can't tell you guys how many times, I'll be somewhere or I'll hear somebody talking to one of you and they'll say something like, how do you do it? Because I think for everyone, activity is completely subjective to that person, right? Busy to me might not be busy to somebody else and vice versa. I feel like I'm pretty busy, but not too busy. Other people see what I do and they go, dude, what the heck?
You are busy as heck.
It's just, but I think that's, we kind of pick where we have to put those, put our energy, right? For many of us to focus, depending on the chapter of your life that you're in, you might be all in at work right now because you are just building equity like crazy at work. And maybe that's the focus, because once that gets under control and leveled out, maybe then you can go back and, put a little more into Masonry or, making soapbox cars, whatever you want. But I think that's something that I've heard many guys, talk about. There have guys come up to, I've seen guys come up to Joe and say, holy cow, man, you go to all of the district schools, you go to this, you go to that, plus you do the TMR. How do you do that with, 3 kids and a family and pets? And
well, it's funny because I was almost late to the show because I was, shocker, at lodge this evening, getting ready for an event. But a brother who's not a member of my lodge, who's a district deputy in another district, who's there, he literally asked me that question, and my answer was what I put in the chat was, Actually, I do more than I really want to, but less than I would like. And he was like, "What do you mean?" So I spent 10 minutes and actually explained that to him. I was like, I probably do stuff in Masonry that is compulsory, but not impactful to my life. And then there's things in Masonry that I super want to devote time and energy and effort into, but I can't because of the participatory aspects of some Masonic bodies or some Masonic organizations and stuff. And that's my answer. And so, like I said, I literally gave that tonight. 5 years ago, I probably would have answered differently, but that's kind of where I'm at in my journey right now, is where I really, really, really want to curate the things that I devote my time and energy and effort to, but I can't because there's all these have to do's, and I hate the have to do's.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
I think,
go ahead, Jason.
go ahead. Yeah, I think there are different seasons of your life for different things. Just getting back to what Robert said earlier. I don't do as much with Masonry as I would like. I have the podcast and my work at Manasseh Lodge, and that's all I am choosing to put into it right now.
That sounds great.
Wouldn't it be nice? Well,
yeah, it is great, but at the same time, Joe, you are the architect of your own demise.
Or one of my favorite quotes is, every decision you've ever made in your entire life has brought you to this moment right now.
Yes.
Right
Joe,
here,
I
right
love
now.
you.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I
And then
love
you have
with
to-
my whole heart, but
And as he says that, like he's putting a, green bean almondine.
right under the
No.
That's like, man, that's when you know I'm checking out for good. When you see me having green bean almondine sitting in lodge, it's like, oh, Joe's checking out, man. He's gone.
Gary
The house is sold.
Gary T. Neal with the one of the greatest jokes ever, but for real, is the lost word no.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's hard because in Masonry, and I tell this to candidates all the time, like there's so much you can do. You have to make sure, it's like, not diving deep into Kabbalah until you're in your 40s in Judaism, right? Like there's so much you can do that you have to slow yourself down.
Well, but I think getting back to it, and I was a little half joking when I answered, but I mean, and now I'm being serious, where there is so much of Masonry that is participatory more than meaningful, right?
Don't stroke out on me, Joe.
I'm almost there, man.
Yes.
It's been a week. I'm having a Ruark right now. But
Well,
but seriously, it's like, there's two different conversations to be had, right? Like there's the, hey, and somebody, I think Mikey mentioned it in the chat, right? Like get to a point where you say screw it all and do nothing, right? Because there's so much participatory aspect to Masonry. Hey, I got to go to these meetings every month, and every Sunday I got to do this and all this stuff and all these check the boxy kind of things. But then there's this whole other aspect of Masonry, kind of to what Jason was alluding to, where it's like, oh, this is something that I find a lot of meaning and derive a lot of meaning of, and I really, really want to do that. I just don't have the time because of all the other things.
Right.
So
because
Yeah,
go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say, in an era of declining membership, Grand Lodges seem to, at least in the U.S., award attendance over everything else. And so, yeah, there's a ton of stuff that is, it's one of those things where they'll tell you it's not required, but it is recommended.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just
Guilt
comes
trip.
down to-
Yep.
It is part guilt trip, but it's also foundational to how we work as a fraternity. Attendance does matter, and I'm not going to sit here and say like, "Hey, man, glad you came through the degrees," but you don't have to come to everything. I'll never say that. I'll always say, come to every meeting that you can make. It will be worth your time and your effort. And then it's on us to provide that. We've talked about value prop a bazillion
Yeah.
times, but that's the other thing too, is like the attendance will happen if you have a reason to come to the lodge. And if you don't have that reason, then it's just not going to drive it. And so that leads me back to thinking about like why I'm as active as I want to be, and driving my Masonic life, quote unquote, balance is, I've said time and time again, I don't really believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life choices. You make choices,
Yeah.
and there are consequences for those choices.
Yep.
And so if you're one of those guys who's like, I use lodge as a way to get away from everything, probably not a healthy idea of
Mhm.
practice of Masonry. I go to, I'm a little bit like Joe in that there are things that I go to that I'm not super excited about. But you know what I am super excited about is seeing bros and talking to them and getting
Right.
updates. They like guys recharge my batteries and I recharge their batteries. It's like, it's just a good gathering. It's the fellowship that drives it for me. And so that's why I choose to be, as active as I am, like IRL,
No,
Right.
I'll put a cherry on top of that, and I will say, as much as I'm whiny and tired and complainy Joe tonight, that what RJ said, yes, thank you. You didn't need to agree. Yeah, stroked out Joe is not fun Joe for the show, but no, I think that again, even when that'll be a show, when we do our 300 show. One thing that I again, outside of the whining, one thing that always gets my engine revving is when, we just be going to a typical everyday boring lodge meeting, but I see those new brothers that just joined and are so thirsty for stuff. And that there's a path they can go down, or there's a recommendation you can make, or just you can sit in the dining hall with them and just actually talk about Masonry and talk about the crap that you learn and actually see it blossom in someone. Man, I'll stay at lodge with you till 2 a.m. to do that. You know what I mean? But I wish there were more of those things, because they would drown out the monotony of the boring parts of Masonry.
Fair enough. So we've done an episode on Masonic burnout, so go back and search for that. But I want to shift the conversation back to the other side of tipping the scales, where life gets in the way of your Masonry, right? Where we have families, we have other obligations, we have careers, we have commutes, and there are times where we want to do more, but can't because of the other choices we made of like, I gotta, get paid and feed my kids, right? So that is kind of the bare minimum of which things you got to do. So, how can brothers, still stay involved in Masonry, for whatever that umbrella term that means, when they can't make it to lodge? What can brothers do?
I was going to answer the question you didn't ask about, how can you be more participatory in Masonry when you can? And because I think
that's why I didn't ask it.
Well, because that's the one I'm going to answer, because I'm in a mood tonight. So shut up, John. So, no, I think
everybody is spicy tonight.
I know. Seriously. Sorry. Positive vibes, love, kisses and hugs to everybody.
As you wish.
I think
don't make me start the screaming man thing again. I'll do it.
RJ kind of hinted at it before, and you joked about it before. There's ways to curate your life and put intent towards saying, I'm going to do this more, or I'm going to do that more. I'm going to participate more. We talk about this all the time, like traveling, I travel for work all the time. But I use those as opportunities to do Masonic things when I'm traveling. If I go to this state and I've never been to lodge before, I'm looking for a lodge to go to that's near my hotel or near my town or stuff like that. So you don't have to look at, like, John, to your point, I know you travel quite a bit too, and you do Masonic things as well when you're away from home. You know what I mean?
I find the time, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, if there's many ways, especially, in this day and age where communication is damn near instant, right? And you have access to people that you never would have met in real life before.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to expand those horizons a little bit by just putting a little bit of forethought into it. So yeah, I have a business trip. Cool. But holy crap, there's a lodge that meets the week I'm gone? Why don't I go say hello and see what's going on? Like, how many of us actually do that or think about doing that when we're outside of the 4 people on this podcast? You know what I mean?
Like, okay, so let's pretend you're a brand new-ish Master Mason. You've dabbled in podcasting, whatever. So this was me, maybe 2012, 2013, somewhere around in there. I've only been, I had at the point, maybe less than 5 years or something, maybe 5 years. And I got sent to Newark, New Jersey to go to the airport there. I was in a previous life, I used to work on airplanes. So I had to go to Newark, and we did like a big train the trainer 8-hour thing. And in the evening, they were all hours. Like, we could do whatever we wanted. Now, you know, I think a lot of people would have been like, cool, I'm just going to go to dinner with the guys, or we're going to go shoot guns at the range, or whatever the case was. I was like, hey, and a brother that everybody knows, Frodero, came and he hung out. He valeted his car, and he stayed with me in my work hotel for a couple of days. And we hung out together. And in the evening, we just got an Uber over, and we went to Alexandria, Washington, got to see an EA degree. Like, that right there to me was like, hey, when I'm not like working, this was a neat thing to do, to sort of be there, and to be there for a degree of somebody you don't know. I mean, it's like generalized support of Freemasonry, which I think a lot of us do, right? How many guys, you know, going back to something you said, John, how many guys can't go to lodge but maintain their lodge website?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there are so many quote unquote electronic jobs out there that lodges need in order to stay relevant. I don't for a second doubt somebody's commitment to Masonry who has, you know, who's given themselves, you know, in some capacity, some role that gives back to the lodge like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. So let's talk about that. So what are some things you can do actively to contribute to your lodge when you are not physically there? So I think the website, great example. Another one that I recommended recently to a brother was like communications, because I know like that's one thing that is critically important, right? If you want to help draft up the trestle board for the worshipful master, like that, I'm sure he won't say no, at least to get the 80% version, right? Or call brothers to, you know, come out. Right, do a phone tree. Yeah. So like those are all things you can do from anywhere with any couple spare minutes that you have, even if you can't make it physically there.
Run the lodge's Facebook page.
And contribute to the fiscal health of the lodge too.
Pay your dues. Facebook page.
Well,
yeah.
It's a less, I think, involved thing that you can do, but it still helps.
Start a book club. You do it online.
That's true.
Help your worshipful out with their agenda. Like, set it all up. You know, I think one thing that I love that we brought back to an extent at Waukegan 78 was after visiting Manasseh Lodge. I love that Manasseh Lodge rolls out the screen, and whatever is going on in the lodge that they're talking about is up on the screen. Birthdays, Masonic birthdays, pictures from the last event, visuals to go along with whatever the lodge is discussing are going up there. And that is something to me that adds an element of modern value to a meeting that is not distracting, adds to it. And somebody had to put that together. And in almost every case, it's probably Joe. But, you know, what if somebody just called him and was like, hey, man, how's this? And sent it over to Joe for his like A-OK. You just saved Joe 20 minutes and you added great value to the lodge. So we started doing something very similar. Like at a meeting at the last stated, our immediate past master is now sitting as our senior deacon. And he puts up pictures of events that have happened around the district while the meeting's going on. So at least if you're not actively listening, you're paying attention to something. And I think that stuff is awesome. People think it's so small, but it is huge impacts.
So yeah, I mean, and yes, most of the times it is me, at least for the past few years. But the reason why I'll tell you exactly why I did that is because before, when we'd have our meetings and we go through our business and go, it's usually the same steps. You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, new business, old business, all the things. I noticed that a lot of people would not be engaged. So I'm like, we need to engage people with more than just their ears. We need to engage people with their eyes. And, that's why we sometimes have snazzy stuff up on the screen. But like, even when we're
And their hearts.
Yeah, even when we're doing the reading of the minutes, we've got stuff up there just to keep people to pay attention for at least a minute or two. You know what I mean? Just to break up the monotony, and that was the primary reason for that.
Have you guys ever heard of the kids animation show Cocomelon?
Yes.
Where it's just like the little CGI toddlers, babies, and they just play these little kids songs all the time. Don't know how true it is, but they say it's like crack for babies' brains because they change scenes every 3 seconds. And that's what gets them hooked and drawn into it. So,
that's the same thing that happens with YouTube, like a lot of the garbage on YouTube.
Exactly.
Like you get people who are doing commentary over video games and it's nonstop speaking. And when I overhear it, I'm like, whoa, aneurysm. Yeah. And my kids don't. Like they're just engaged the whole time. And it's just science. Like that's how you keep them on your channel.
So that's what Joe has to do. So you need like 50 times more slides, Joe. Just click, 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 click,
click. What was that show we did? What was that show we did?
Yeah, like the Pechakucha.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
The Pachachana.
Yeah, like 10 minutes, 20 slides or something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You only had 20 seconds per slide, and it automatically moved to the next slide.
Yeah, you're not there. Yes. Too late. Keep going. Yeah, Metal Drew, brain rot for sure.
Yes, Masonic brain rot. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
And
let's do that.
He can say that as a Masonic TikToker.
We'll have fun. Right. Yep, 20 slides.
Yeah. So those are some active ways that you can help. Another thing to think about are some passive ways, and what made me think of it was Metal Drew, right? Being a TikToker. Like, we are on this show because we want to give back to Masonry, and we are doing this outside of Lodge, right? And that's something that you could do. You don't have to be a podcaster. You don't have to be a TikToker, right? But if you want to create content about Masonry because you like it, you don't need to do it in Lodge. So that is one way is you can do it from anywhere, any place. Remember your oats, but otherwise,
And stop it with the bullshit AI slop.
Ha! Tell me more, Jason. You seem a little passionate about that one.
Masonic social media pages, especially over the past 6 months or so, have been inundated with what's called slop, which is shittily produced AI content. It is derivative. It lacks any sort of character. You don't even go in and fix the parts where the stable diffusion algorithm has screwed up and veered off the course of what things look like in reality. I see this everywhere. Like, if you're going to do something, like, do it well. And
so that wasn't Brad Billings riding a goat. I could have sworn that was real.
With a 10-gallon on.
One of the
50-gallon,
bigger than his shoulders.
One of the things that recently got me, Jason, is funny you mentioned this, was it was obviously somebody decided to put together an AI prompt that was like, hey, create a flyer for a Masonic 3rd degree for this lodge that is under dispensation. That's what I gather happened, because what it produced was this great looking ad or flyer, but it said, I'm not going to say the name of the lodge, name of lodge, UD number 3. And they just posted it.
Oh,
And I was like, you can't have a number if you're UD, at least in Illinois. This was in Illinois.
right.
Lodge.
Yeah.
Like,
Interesting.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah. So they just don't check it. So we're getting people who are, you know what? Have
Get some QC, get some quality control going on.
quality
There.
control.
But, I mean, I'll even take it a step further. Sorry, RJ. I was just going to say, because Jason brought up a great point. As much as we're giving y'all advice about how to share your masonry outside of lodge, this is not an open invitation for everybody to become a Masonic TikToker. I'm looking at people in our chat right now that I think would agree. Not everybody that talks about masonry on social media should be talking about masonry on social media. So come with a little bit of care, a little bit of concern, a little bit of quality control in the AI that you use, and come with a little bit of Masonic knowledge. You know,
Thank you, Mike.
Mike the intern with the banger. So you're saying don't update
But Joe,
the new Cracker Barrel
I
Masonic
do
logo?
all my own research.
Yeah, I'm so excited that you do that.
Oh, goodness.
And to
Actually, I
that
do
extent, right?
my
Like
own research.
you're talking about passive ways to assist.
Right.
lodge.
Hmm.
Yes.
Whether those are passive ways or they're active ways, or you're like there in person. This is something that I'm going to say, and I'm just going to say it, right? And that is,
Say it.
if you volunteer for something, I need you to do it.
Oh,
Okay.
Amen.
So here
Yes.
you go. And
yes.
this is what I tell. This is what I tell guys at lodges where I'm active and I'm involved is if you can't keep your word to the lodge, stop wearing the square and compasses because integrity isn't an accessory. And so what I mean by that is we're all hoping that you're going to come through. So don't lie to the lodge. Like we're all grown-ups. You should be able to plan your life and your lodge stuff. Don't commit if you can't. And just hope oh, I couldn't do it. They're bros. They'll let me slide and keep passing you up. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, I have explicitly told people, I believe when I was master, that I'd rather you tell me no than a yes and then bail on me later. Exactly. Yep. No, that's great. That's great advice. Another thing is you could live your masonry. You could actually read Masonic books. There's quite a few that are out there, right? You could learn something new, right? You could listen to other podcasts, right? Both masonry and masonry adjacent. So what's a masonry adjacent podcast? Well, maybe something on philosophy or stoicism or there's a lot.
Or something
Yeah,
like that, right?
exactly. Right.
History.
How to be a better person. Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually read the trestle boards that your lodge sends out or your valley sends out or your chapter sends out.
And if you're a secretary, how about getting those things out before the stated meeting, right after, so that people aren't looking for events that they want to register for that already passed, but you forgot to send out the thing till the last minute. Yeah, don't do that either. There's so
That's
many
why
ways.
we read the minutes in lodge, Robert.
Oh, friggin' gets me, dude. I love that thing now. Yeah, I just wonder.
We've come full circle to Masonic Howard Stern.
Yes.
Or Richard Bay. Who remembers Richard Bay with the
Yeah.
soundboards?
Yep.
The soundboards. Yes.
I remember Michael.
That is
Explosions.
explosions
Michael
and lens flares. Okay.
Yeah.
Ritual, right? That is something you can do if you can't make it to lodge all the time. But boy, isn't it great when you actually have a brother that you haven't seen for a while, but he's like, I'm ready to fill in a chair if you need me. Well, cool. Come on in, right? Mm-hmm. That working on lectures, working on ritual, catechism mentor, right? That's a great thing that you can do. That as long as you're you can do that work now. So then when you are needed, right, you can rise and shine.
I also think something you could do, and this is kind of going off, but for learning lectures, we've seen it done here in Illinois. It is allowed, where they'll take a lecture and 3 guys will break it up, and they'll do, say, the middle chamber lecture section, and he'll say some of it, bring in another guy to do, just to kind of break it up and help out if you have trouble with very longer, some of the longer lectures.
Seems great. Sounds wonderful.
Or do you guys not allow that?
Hell no.
Dang.
And our stuff ain't written.
Yeah.
Tongue to ear.
Mine is.
Tongue to ear only.
I could read. Then how do you know if it's... Never mind.
That's the thing.
That
You
don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to.
Remember your oaths.
Okay, boss. Well, in my jurisdiction, I could read you the lecture.
Blasphemy. Metal Drew says they have a Discord or WhatsApp group as well, right? So if you're not all about posting on social media, at least, hey, what if you kept brothers in touch? And there's a couple of different Masonic chat groups that I'm in, and I love it because we can nerd out about Masonry, and some of the best Masonic chat groups that I'm in go all over the place from a variety of topics, a variety of interests, and then all of a sudden we bring it back to some like deep philosophical concepts, and so it's
Smorgasbord.
It's a potpourri of topics. It's a plethora of topics.
But that's what I mean. At least all the Masons that I know and the ones that I travel with and keep in my circle of people I actually care about, we're all the same way. Like, we will sporadically just talk about 10 random topics all in one day, but that feeds our engine. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just the same thing every 5 minutes. So yeah, I can't recommend Discord and WhatsApp or Messenger groups as just to keep connectivity between your brothers, keep it spicy. Sometimes you do some dumb dude stuff, which we all do. Everybody gets a laugh, but and then you bring it back to Masonry. I think that's awesome, and it's a great way to keep people connected. I think that's a great recommendation.
Yeah, somebody said in the chat, Mike says, I knew a guy who used the family first excuse why he didn't show to his part in an outdoor mark degree because his kid had soccer that morning. And there's been a few people asking questions about that. And maybe that's to say, like, well, he should be allowed to do that. Well, yeah, he should. But also, soccer games are on the schedule. And so is this. So if you mix that up, that's on you, bro. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. There have been times where we've had family stuff, but I committed to something first, and I had to do that.
Oh, that's very much back to the integrity thing you were just talking about, right? So it's not just...
I passed up going to... So like in reverse, I passed up an opportunity to go on a really awesome European Masonic thing, right? Like when you go and you see UGLE in Scotland and all that stuff. I couldn't do it because I had to stay here. I had already agreed to officiate a wedding. Like they could have gotten anybody, but my buddy asked me, and so I was like, okay, cool. Like I could have been like, actually, I've got this really great opportunity.
It's almost like you're a man of your word, Robert.
Oh, gasp!
I could go to Europe, right? But like, that's just not the right thing to do.
No.
So maybe if you forgot about the soccer game. Sorry, man. All right, cool. Well, then go to the soccer game. But don't let that be the continued excuse, bro.
It goes back to John saying there are so many people out there. We won't just pick on Masons, but people in general that will give you the soft yes just to get you out of their face, and then disappoint you later, right? So those do start to build up over time. It's like, oh, I know John is the guy who's going to say yes, but he's not going to show up, and you start to establish a pattern. And exactly as you're saying, it really speaks to your integrity. But it happens so often. You know what I mean? It's not a
if like,
singular circumstance. You know, it happens a lot.
and people talk like if Joe stopped going, I guarantee you it would be like 30 minutes before somebody coined no show Joe. Like, and that would
Right.
just be a thing.
And that would be it. Unreliable. Exactly.
Unreliable. That's not a thing though. Joe is always reliable.
That's right.
Why we call him Joe shows. Wait.
The Joe show?
Oh, you don't have an OF. Okay. No,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
Well,
Joe will be there if he says he's going to be there.
yeah, Joe's not showing you any of those things.
Joe and Lee fans.
Show you my lapel pins. Oh my God, that's another one. OnlyFans, just lapel pins,
Just lapel pins.
with lapel pins, little sexy poses. Yeah, dude, that's millions of years of content right there. The lapel-
That wasn't me this time.
Love it, love it.
You know, yeah, Metal Drew and I were chatting that there's a trend going on in Masonic TikTok right now with the know-it-all Mason thing, right? That as soon as you come in trying to describe a little bit of symbolism in the lecture, all of a sudden you become one of these know-it-all Masons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a rift, a divide among Masonic TikTokers about know-it-all Masons. And hey, this thing can get really serious. He says, I now have at least 3 new PDFs of Masonic or adjacent literature because you learn new things, right? That's great. That's a good thing. To heck with the title. To heck with the slander of being a know-it-all Mason. Apply your Masonry, darn it.
Well, then we have
comes down to
Masonic
collections.
TikTokers that boldly purport to know it all when they are wrong about just about everything.
Say that again, Jason.
You were the only one who glitched.
No, I heard you glitch.
No, I glitched. Okay. And
There's
so
a
you
crack
get
in
the
the matrix.
Masonic TikTokers that purport to know everything and boldly express things, and they do not.
They do not. Yes. That is true for all of these things. In lodge or out, if you're going to be a Mason who knows it all, make sure you actually know it all.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because we do have other obligations. There are some things, like you said, if you're like Robert, you're a man of your word. You will have family obligations. You will have work obligations, and you've made those probably some of them before you joined the lodge or before this Masonic year. Right? So you have to balance those out as well. So again, do not let your zeal for the institution destroy any relationships in lodge or out, or family or out. Mm-hmm. There you go. And I guess, the last thing that I would recommend to someone, even if they don't have skills to edit a trestle board or do something, that's a little technical, the best thing you can absolutely do to support your lodge when you're not at lodge is to be a Mason in real life.
Yeah.
Is to actually, live your obligations, stand with integrity, right? Do what you say you're going to do, right? Apply the Masonic principles. I mean, it sounds kind of trite, but geez, that's the best thing you could do, because if you're going to slap a square and compass on your lapel
Or your car.
or your car, right?
Or 40 of them.
Then do it.
One might be reminded of a pivotal scene in which every man in the world. There's 2 scenes that Gen Xers can see in the film, in a film where it will make you cry, and it doesn't matter how manly you are. The first is there's a scene in Master and Commander where a kid has to sew up a body bag of his buddy. The second is in Saving Private Ryan. At the end, he falls on dude's grave and he says something like, I've tried my whole life to be the better man you told me to be, or whatever. And that's what we're asking of our Masons who just never come back. if you can't come back, can you at least do us this favor to be the better man, to be a Masonic example? That's all I can hope for those of us like that just they can't make time. Like, we are busy people, and the world is only gotten smaller, more busy, and time increments have, we used to schedule hour talks, on at work, and then they were 30 minutes, and now it's like, oh, let's have a quick 15-minute touch base back to back to back. It's like, geez Louise, it just, the world gets full fast, man. And so, yeah, I'm with you, John. I think be a Mason, right? I'm reminded of a guy who we never saw him ever. He was a 50-year Mason, and we invited him out to come get his 50-year pin. And he flat out said, "This is amazing. Thank you guys for inviting me out. I came and got a Blue Lightning 50 years ago or whatever it was, because we gave him a 50-year certificate." And he said, even though I've never been here, I've strived to live my life by Masonic ideals. And I was like, at the time, I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. I was mad. Like, dude, I never saw you before in my life.
Yeah, but can you hold a deacon's rod?
Right? Oh, that just comes back to George Bernard Shaw's, what does he say? His aphorism that's like kind of similar to Lao Tzu. He says, he who can does, he who cannot teaches. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I hate George Bernard Shaw, by the way. I digress. Sorry.
Digress aloud.
Yes.
All right. So now we're shifting to the final question time of the show. Ooh. All right. So lots of good ideas, lots of fun things that we've talked about, both active and passive and even outside of Masonry altogether. But if a brother of yours came up to you and said, "Hey, I have to go live overseas for a year, and I physically can be here. I'm going to be a completely different time zone. What can I do to support my lodge? Because I'll be back, but for now, I physically can't come to lodge for another year or so, 18 months. What would you recommend that brother do?" Because this does happen. This does happen. All right. Let's start with Joe, who's champing at the bit.
Yeah, had an answer because this has happened. So it was kind of intertwined a little bit with COVID, but Jesus, man. But we had a brother who took a contracting job in the Near East, shall we say? Yes, and COVID stuff kind of lifted, so we weren't meeting online anymore or doing all that stuff. We were still kind of getting back together, but the brother was still overseas, and he was going to be overseas for a few more months, and we really went out of our way he was loving the engagement. We were getting together at least every 2 weeks, and we were just talking Masonry or doing a program or doing something. I think that's where the idea for book club started, doing it online. But we kept the online thing going just for him, just so he could be with us and hang out with us, amidst, very different time zones. But we just kept staying online just so we could hang out with this brother. And that was kind of awesome. We didn't need to do it. It wasn't required anymore. We could go back to lodge and interact and hug and kiss and all that stuff. But we did that. So, if you've got a brother who expresses interest and his time or commitments make it difficult for him to do so, move the stuff around so that he can be a part of the process and be a member of that community. You know what I mean? Don't just send him an email once a month and say, "Hey, hope you're well, be the change," all that stuff. Do things to keep him engaged. And I think we talked about many different ways to keep people engaged in participatory Freemasonry tonight. But yeah, that's just one example that rose to the top for me. So promise I'll be less cranky next week. Mwah.
Can I get that in writing?
You can.
Okay. All right. Robert, what advice would you give that brother?
I think you can look at some examples that you might call high impact remote roles. So, yeah, there you go. Aside from things like communications, draft your monthly newsletters and things like that, I think there are some interesting ways that you can stay active and assist the lodge that have more of a personal touch, which, let's say you're overseas. Let's not forget about things like being a lodge ambassador. Take your current dues card, maybe have like your letter of introduction from Grand Lodge or whatever. Visit your recognized lodges around you if safe to do so. Bring greetings and then report back. Have like a 1-page little education about your visit to so and so lodge, and a little bit of history about the lodge, and bring some greetings and maybe some photos or something that the master can throw the pictures up on the screen, and you can read a little report or something. Those often lead to sister lodges around the world, connections that sort of get Masons masoning, really. Other things Joe mentioned, which I think are amazing, and you couldn't do in any other era, which was joined by video for education only or social segments that they put together. I had been on several of their book clubs, and I know the brother that Joe is speaking of, and this brother was always there, active and engaged, and loved it. And just by being there, even only virtually, what does that bring? It brings a body and an interest there, and by that person showing that, it is a relief valve for everybody else who is on to ask a question, to be engaged. And so don't minimize those roles at all. Send postcards or little video greetings. I just think all that stuff is really important. It doesn't always have to be about admin or like gaining membership or like scheduling social media posts. I mean, it could be active masoning and then showing the results of what you're doing and sharing that with your lodges. Maybe part of the education. I think it's pretty easy to do, and a dedicated Mason can do those things.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Awesome. Jason, what would you recommend? Stay engaged?
You can't, just because you're away doesn't mean you have to cut off your contact with your lodge. Email's a thing. Weigh in on the trestle board. Email, the officers or brethren. If you hear about a brother who's having a hard time, reach out again over email. Like, there are asynchronous ways to stay engaged and stay in contact. Make sure that the lodge doesn't fall off your radar, and so keep up with, again, what's going on, the trestle board, what's happening, how the brothers are doing, how the building's doing, right? Like, you don't need to try to micromanage them from overseas, but there are ways that you can keep a tether back to your lodge in a way that doesn't require you all to be on the same time zone.
Yeah. You don't have to ghost your lodge.
Nope.
Yep. Yeah. Good call. Good call. Awesome. And then for me, the last thing I thought of was, one, pay your dues. Right, keep the lodge solvent. So that's an important one. But also be a Mason. And so I'm really big on this. Like, how can you just still be a Mason out in the world? And one way that you could do this, because we're all big fans of education, is actually take the effort and like RJ was saying, contribute to the education. But I'd even challenge you to say, because I always say it every year, I always challenge myself to have one new Masonic topic, paper, presentation ready to go. So while you have that year away from lodge, put together a great presentation, Masonic education presentation that you're excited about, and then as soon as you know you're coming back, let us know, because I'm sure we'll be ready to line you up to present that at the next stadium meeting.
Hey, and before you go, John, can I plug something?
Of course.
I got to plug it because I think it's happening in your neck of the woods, and you're actually doing a talk there. The Richmond Randolph Lodge, they're doing a Central Masonicon, a Central Virginia Masonicon, and John's going to be doing a talk there. And I just call it like I see it. In the last couple of years, there have been a handful of amazing talks that people have given. If you get a chance, right, see Jason's talk on that focuses on life and death. It's like some NDE experience. Like, holy cow, it's an experience, right? Another great talk that I was lucky enough to catch on a Zoom when you did it. John, you recently did this new talk that you did this last year. He's saying that he writes a new presentation every year. I think it's an awesome goal. And it's one of my favorite new talks that anybody's been giving. As you guys know, I go to all the educational conferences. I try to, and I love listening to these things, even if I've heard these talks before. John's got a new talk that he's doing, Stoic Resilience in the Age of Uncertainty. And I think it's one of the more important talks that's been given in recent years. So go check it out. It's only like $40 or something. It's like, $40 is Taco Bell these days. So,
How true that is.
yeah.
No,
Go check it out. I mean, I really think it's going to be a great event. So
I appreciate that. Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one as well. Great. Awesome. Well, hey, this was a wonderful conversation. Go do Masonry. You guys are awesome. We love seeing you every week. So thank you for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.